Every time people talk about the mainstream media conglomerates secretly collaborating with each other, visions of smoke-filled rooms and shadowy figures wearing expensive suits sitting around a table come to mind. While this may be an exaggerated expectation of a behind-the-scenes look at the issue, it isn't all that far from the truth. Every July since 1983, a small group of media moguls, tech titans, investors, politicians, and intelligence agency insiders all gather in the small town of Sun Valley, Idaho for a week of meetings to develop a consensus regarding policies for mainstream media, social media, and emerging communications technology. It's basically like the Bilderberg meeting for media, and since tech companies like Facebook, Twitter, Apple, and YouTube have become major players in the media industry, they all come together each year in Sun Valley trying to make sure that no emerging platforms can threaten their power. This is where industry leaders meet to buy up any small startups that have the potential to siphon off some of the market share from the dominant handful who are in control. And it's also the place where they develop and agree upon new Orwellian terms of service, gatekeeping strategies, and censorship tactics for the social media platforms to make sure that certain voices and messages don't get too loud. The conference is hosted by a mysterious investment bank headquartered on Fifth Avenue in New York City called Allen & Company, which deliberately tries to avoid publicity and for many years didn't even have a website. They were the underwriters for Google's initial public offering, their IPO in 2004, and did the same thing for Twitter when they went public in 2013. Allen & Company had a long history of brokering major media deals that we all hear about while keeping themselves largely out of the spotlight. Fortune magazine once said to call the firm unusual would be an understatement. It's a privately held company, so their financial records are not public like they would be if they were traded on the New York Stock Exchange like other financial institutions. Who attends the Sun Valley Conference and what is discussed there is confidential, but it's impossible for some of the high-profile attendees to stay off the radar. The Idaho Mountain Express, Sun Valley's local paper, says that it's obvious to the residents of the small town when the conference occurs because of the dozens of corporate jets that arrive at the Friedman Memorial Airport and locals spotting people like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg around town. This is the place where Comcast agreed to acquire NBC Universal in 2009, the parent company of NBC Broadcasting, Universal Pictures, DreamWorks, the Sci-Fi Channel, E! Channel, USA Network, Bravo, the Weather Channel, Telemundo, and more. That's just one conglomerate, by the way. It's also where America Online and Time Warner had their merger negotiated, creating AOL Time Warner, where Microsoft's merger with NBC was settled, creating MSNBC, where Instagram and WhatsApp were bought by Facebook, where Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and where BET, Black Entertainment Television, was sold to Viacom, making the channel's founder, Robert Johnson, the first black billionaire in America. Viacom, by the way, which also owns MTV, Nickelodeon, Spike, VH1, Comedy Central, Paramount Pictures, and many more media assets, is responsible for turning BET from what was supposed to be a network about African American issues into a ghetto culture channel that airs rap videos and TV shows, encouraging the very worst aspects of the black community. Co-founder Sheila Johnson later admitted that she was ashamed of what happened to BET after her and her then husband Robert sold it to Viacom at the Sun Valley Conference. This is also the place where new and promising media and tech companies, which are often one and the same now, are bought up by major conglomerates like Viacom, Time Warner, CBS, Disney, News Corporation, Comcast, also known as the Big Six media monopolies, which work together to buy any new emerging companies, social media platforms, news websites, or apps that they feel could grow into threats to their oligarchy. While the meeting receives little press coverage, the New York Times once admitted that yes, high net worth individuals, many of whom have their hands on the lever of the media and entertainment economy, gather in one place, and business is undoubtedly being conducted. But anything noteworthy takes place out of view. In fact, much is out of view. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Apple CEO Tim Cook, the founders and CEOs of Google, YouTube, Yahoo, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and most of the top names in tech and social media startups are all there.
This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people.
Today, Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion.
Instagram, a company with only 13 employees, bought today by Facebook for $1 billion.
Facebook has bought the mobile messaging service WhatsApp for $19 billion in cash and stock.
AT&T and Time Warner, the parent company of CNN, have agreed to an $85 billion mega merger.
To that blockbuster deal announced today involving our parent company, Disney, spending more than $52 billion to buy a significant portion of 21st Century Fox.
Hulu, home to hits like The Handmaid's Tale, is poised to become a key part of Disney's emerging streaming business, Disney Plus. Now, Disney became a 60% owner of Hulu when it bought Fox's entertainment assets back in March.
While it may not seem that strange to have an annual gathering of the top names in media and tech, what is strange is the fact that the heads of the U.S. intelligence agencies are also in attendance. When he was the director of the CIA, George Tenet was the Sun Valley keynote speaker in 2003 and again in 2005. And after he retired from the agency, he still regularly attends. When General David Petraeus was the director of the CIA, he too attended, as is customary for the head of the Central Intelligence Agency each year. Why would the head of the CIA be meeting with the CEOs of the top tech and media companies? Well, if you know about Operation Mockingbird, I think the answer is obvious. This likely also involves lobbying the tech giants to include backdoors in their software to enable U.S. intelligence agencies to spy on users and to censor some information that's being distributed through the platforms, which is deemed to have national security implications, and so that the government can covertly monitor and manipulate the data that these megalithic corporations control. Considering the history of the CIA covertly influencing and censoring major news media through Operation Mockingbird, and their entertainment liaison office overseeing the production of major blockbuster movies and television shows with the purpose of using them as covert containers for propaganda, combined with their mass surveillance of American citizens, their involvement with the Sun Valley Conference should be of great concern to everyone. But who other than me is talking about this? I'm sure that this is the first time that most of you have heard about the Sun Valley Conference. And if you want to learn more, order my book, The True Story of Fake News, in paperback from Amazon.com or download the ebook from any of the major ebook stores. If you like my videos, you're really going to love my books. So head on over to Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.